And we do welcome our dear friend, the Reverend Diane Stark, as she is originally from the Washington, D.C. area. He graduated from the University of Maryland and has always been interested in teaching. And she does that very well. Whether it's ideas or academics, she grew up being a preacher's kid, her mother having Unity Church for 20 years in the Washington, D.C. area. And she was ordained in 2006 by Unity Worldwide Ministries and has been the leader of the Unity of Muskegon for going on a decade now, which is a decade of great service to that community. Her vision for the future is a world of cooperation among all nations and stewardship of the earth that is balanced and holistic. Energize your world is Diane's topic tonight. We look forward to hearing that in just a moment.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank all of you for being here. And I'm so pleased to talk to you tonight. You know, I want to talk about how every time we actually go out into the world, every time we leave our house, our abode, we have an opportunity to interact with people, to energize, to express positivity, you know, in so many ways, to complete strangers. And that's kind of what I want to stir up tonight is our power to be aware of other people, because it seems to me as though the cultural style is keep your head down and their blinders on and don't talk to strangers. And I've had such I guess I've had so much fun going out in the world and being positive and energizing people around me that I don't even know. So I just want to give you a few examples. Like I was at Myers in the parking lot after dark. I think it was like maybe 11 o'clock or something. And a young man, an African-American man, was gathering the baskets. He was an employee. So I wanted to say something pleasant. So I said, "Isn't it a beautiful night?" And he said, "I don't know, you like it here?" And I said, "Yeah, well, don't you like it here?" And he said, "No, I don't like it here." I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because I've been in jail. Oh, no, they'll never let me do anything." And I said, "Well, you know, I just want to tell you that I would encourage you to think differently, you know." And just to give my credentials, you know, I said to impress him as a white person, I said, "You know, I was at the March on Washington and I heard Martin Luther King give his speech." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, because I'm from Washington, D.C." And he said, "Just think, this young man said this young man who had been in jail and was uneducated. He said these words, just think, he was leading the people, all the people in the country, he was leading them toward greater understanding and brotherhood and freedom." I was astonished at his words. And I said, "Well, if you can articulate that, you could do it too. That could be you leading people like that." And he felt so honored, you know. And as I walked away, he said, "Bless you, ma'am." So that was an energizing encounter. And that's what I'm advocating today. And I've got a lot of little examples of that, because really it's really delightful to hear how you can acknowledge people and honor them and energize them and cheer them when we're out amongst each other in the marketplace or wherever we are. And it's especially important to make eye contact. I discovered when I was out at Unity Village taking classes in one of those sessions, 2-week sessions. I was using my income tax return money to go out there and take classes. And this was back, you know, in the 90s or maybe late 80s. I was still very separated from minorities. I didn't feel connected to minorities, and I didn't realize it. And there was a an African-American woman in our class, and I passed her on the pavement in the afternoon, and she lifted her face and was ready to smile and make eye contact with me. And I looked sideways and avoided eye contact with her out of a conditioned response that I was carrying, that I avoided people that were not like me. I mean, I'm ashamed to admit it. And I realized it that evening when I was just meditating. I revisited that moment, and I realized I had actually hurt her feelings without even realizing it in the moment. And it's so subtle a thing, too, that she might not have realized it consciously, because minority people are inured to that. You know, they're accustomed to it. They're used to it. And I see that a lot even still as I do make eye contact, that it surprises people that are of African-American origin or any other minority. They're surprised that I'm not shielding my eyes from them. So I made it a point in the days to come with that particular woman to intentionally make eye contact with her. And it cheered her. It really cheered her. I don't know if she was conscious or unconscious of what I was trying to reverse, but she felt it. She really felt it. And I felt it too. And it really taught me a lot about myself. So this eye contact is real important. And to observe what people are doing. It energizes them doing it. There was a what you call a bar mitzvah dance being held in a recreation center. And I had just dropped my daughter off at some little class that was going on there. I wasn't part of the bar mitzvah, neither was anyone I knew part of the bar mitzvah, but I was curious to see how the kids were going to be dancing. So I stood at the doorway and I watched the kids dancing. And I realized that after I'd been standing there for about 15 minutes, that their dancing had improved. That even though they were not consciously trying to impress me or show off or be noticed, it just energized them that someone was watching them dance with interest, and their dancing got more intentional and more energized. So that was a really interesting dynamic that I've held on to since that time, is that if you just observe something that a group of people is doing and they want it to be successful, you can support the success by simply observing it with appreciation. And that's another way of energizing your world. And then express being pleased. I've noticed this is a new thing I've used about, I'm so pleased that blah, 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 because it's not such a overwhelming kind of praise. It's not like, drenching somebody in aggrandizing things, but just to say, I'm so pleased that you're ready to go to school now, or I'm so pleased that you're taking the leadership training at the Coptics, to put it in those words, especially for children, it really energizes people. And a really good example of that is I noticed John Travolta had an interview sometime in the past that I heard, and he was asked, well, what kind of parenting did you receive? And he said, well, all I can tell you is that I just remember my mother always praising every single thing that I did. I mean, she just praised the way I ate my peas, and she praised the way I sat in a chair, and she praised the way I walked across the room. That's all she ever did. I never got any criticism, only praise. So I think that's living proof that that being positive and appreciative and praise and giving praise gives encouragement and energizes people's spirit. Now, more on this use of language as in Rose's reading of Hamid Bey. Our use of language is very powerful. And you know, we need to sharpen our vocabulary, our use of our vocabulary, because words are attractors. They have an attracting force, like a great big piece of magnetic metal. When you put positive word out there, it has I call it an attractor, an attracting force. And this applies to when you, well, like when people comment on my sermon, I hope nobody's watching this, you know, and they say, oh, that was a really nice sermon. Nice, nice, nice doesn't really describe anything. It doesn't quantify anything. It doesn't create any attractor field of energy, because we need to develop our vocabulary to say things like, well, it was informative, it was articulate, it was elucidating, it was, there was one guy who used to always say, my sermons were marvelous, meaning there was a marvel in quality to them. And I want to stop talking about my sermons, just everything that we describe. Don't put it in terms of that are just, you know, so general and vague. Oh, that was a really good movie. Oh, that was a really nice party. Would you please get more specific? Like, for instance, 2 days ago, I did a very elaborate funeral service for some people who came here from out in Kansas City, but the people that they were doing the service for were parents who were going to have their ashes interred in Holland, because that's where they grew up. So the daughter had put a lot of energy. She had a 20-minute long, what do they call that, slideshow. She had her husband do a life review of both of the parents. She did her own reflections. Everyone did their reflections and remembrances if they wished to. And then as the what do you call it? As the person leading the service, I did the prayers. And I was just following a template that the funeral home required or used, they wanted to use. It was all in very Orthodox Christian language. But I understand the terms of doctrine, Christian doctrine, in spiritual principles and in spiritual interpretation. So I found it very sacred, and it affected me very deeply. Anyway, after the service was all over, when we went to a graveyard, and we put the ash, the remains, the cremated remains into the ground, both of them. And I got to say, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And it was very elaborate and used all of the traditional touches of a funeral service. So after it was all over, I sat down with the woman who had created this whole service. You know, and I didn't just say, that was really a good job. You know, I used specific language. It was a glorious experience. It really told the story of their lives, and it revealed some of their deepest passions and their motivations and how special they were. And I went on to describe specifically what I thought were the important qualities. And you could do that ad infinitum. There's not a limited number of things you can say. There's an unlimited number of ways to appreciate and praise and describe anything in specific attractor terms that are not bland, like nice and like good job and that was nice. Are you with me? Yeah? Okay. So I'm exhorting you to use language, words that hold positive energy and are attractors. And then use magnetization. You know, and that is you working in the unseen realm. Use energy fields, use the sending of thought, the sending of love, all types of positive energy. And this works if you believe that it works. If you doubt that it works, it probably doesn't work for you. But it is a power that we all have, a soul power, to emit, to broadcast, to send thought, love, positive energy, and negative, but let's don't do that, to a specific receptor, to a person, to someone's heart, to some situation. It's possible. All of us can do this. And we can also do a magnetization. I learned this when I consulted a psychic reader, and she said that the reason that I came to her was because Myrtle Fillmore had magnetized her and Myrtle so they could speak to me together more directly. And that just opened up a door for me. Oh, we can magnetize two things and bring them together so that we can have them to deal with. And that's a power that we have, that magnetization. So I'm saying that most of all, stay positive. Do not allow negativity to possess you. And that's the threat of being in the world today. There's so much negativity for us to engage with that's offered to us. And I'm not saying to bury your head in the sand and don't listen to it and ignore it. But like the Bible says, overcome evil with good. Transmute any negative condition into a positive possibility. For instance, there's report of this red algae that's killing fish in the San Francisco Bay. And if we can see that as Mother Nature's way of expressing a very profound need to us, and if we can hear that need, then we can be successful, we can be triumphant. So that's how to look at news that is something wrong. That's the big mistake that we make, is to buy into a whole trip, a whole thought pattern of something wrong. There's something wrong, and here's what it is. Blah, 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 blah. We cannot allow ourselves to get into that kind of negativity. When Lauryn Hill, who was in the Fugees, and they got a Grammy Award the very first year they were recording. As she left the stage, she turned back and said over her shoulder, "Stay strong, stay positive, one love, y'all." And that went right to my heart. That was really strong words of wisdom. And so I'm offering that to you today, that in your energizing of the world around you, that you can't do it if you allow negativity to possess you. Be an absolute alchemist, a wizard, a master of the unseen realm. We tend to be a little shy of thinking of ourselves as wizards, masters of the unseen, as alchemists, but we all are. And we do it whether we realize it or not. Sometimes we do it in ways that are not advantageous to us. But if you seize the power that you have to interpret, to transform, to make into positive attractor ideas, anything that comes into your purview, then you can be this master of this unseen realm. And I'm working with that, with my congregation, because at the beginning of the year, I really felt like my congregation, which was still in the old church at that point, say January 2022, it seemed like our energy was, was stagnant. And so I was asking for guidance. I was asking Spirit to give us something that would create interest in our community, that would create, bring people's loving attention to the core and the soul of this congregation. And look what happened. I didn't really do anything. I didn't instigate any of this, but it was brought up that we need to sell the building. We sold the building. It was brought up that we need to find a new building, and this building was brought to our attention. And would you believe, I know that a couple months ago I said we had a divided opinion, but even that divided opinion has caused us to grow, because more and more people who are on the outer edges of our congregation, as they hear about our story, they say, well, I want to have a voice in this decision. So I want to become a member now so that I can vote in your membership meetings. It's caused us to grow. It's just amazing to me that this unseen realm responded to my intention to have activity, to have positive energy, draw more people's interest into the soul body of my congregation. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, another thing that energizes, oh dear, I got it there. Another thing that energizes our lives is smiling. Do you know anyone who, when you pick up the camera, they get self-conscious and they can't smile their normal smile? Well, for that person, I would say, go in front of the mirror and practice your smile, because your smile blesses the world. And you want to have a warm and loving smile for your photographs, because your photographs are seen by people and that blesses the world. So I say, practice your smile, have a good smile, and know that you have a good smile and be proud of your smile. Another thing about our presence in the world that energizes the world is our touch. And I say having perfect touch is one of the faculties that we should claim. That means that everything that you touch, you leave it better than before you touched it. That means that every person that you touch feels love, positive energy, gentleness, kindness, acceptance in your touch. It's simply a matter of being conscious of your hands, of your energy, and of your interaction at that level where you're touching someone. Take responsibility for your touch and practice having a beautiful, beautiful touch for everything, for flowers, for animals, for people, everything. Practice your hug. Practice your facial expressions, your movement. You are actually an adornment of the earth. And so whatever you can express that's beautiful, that's gracious, that speaks of spiritual attributes is to the good. So that's another energizing of your world that I'm inviting you to develop. When we realize how everything is part of the unified field of consciousness that we call God, we can't help but see that every choice we make, every thought, feeling, and reaction contributes to the field. And then we live in that field. I had a couple more incidences with people in the stores, in the marketplace, that I just wanted to share that were kind of neat. One was I was at Sam's Club, and there was a family walking through the store, and it was a husband and wife and a daughter about 7th, 8th grade, 12 or so, and then a younger son. Well, the daughter had one of these haircuts. I don't know if you've seen them, that like half of the head is shaved and the other half hangs down. Have you seen this? And I'm going to tell you, it looked great on this young girl. It just, I mean, she just had a finely chiseled head and neck, and her size and style. It just bore the hairstyle, which was so unusual. And usually kind of like people, objectionable, but she wore it so well. And so after I got over being so amazed at how good it looked on her, I realized I should say something. And the best thing to do, I thought, would be to say it to her mother, not to her, because she's, looked to me, seemed to be very shy. And just for a stranger to just speak to her might be a little uncomfortable. But I wanted to go up to her mother and say, your daughter really wears that hairstyle well. She really pulls it off. You should be very proud. But they left the store before I could get to them. And at Sam's Club, you can't just run outside and run back inside. It's the whole big, rigmarole. So I lost them, but I wished I could have done that, And oftentimes this past summer, when I saw mothers and children shopping together in the store, I would just look at them and I'd say, you all should have your portrait done today because you're so beautiful today. You're just perfectly beautiful today. And you should always remember this day. So people, they're softened by that. They come to appreciate themselves in the moment and realize the beauty of their lives moment by moment. We just sort of tend to get caught up in our chores and our errands and our budgets and our children's demands. And this energizing, as we go around together in public, I think that it energizes people who are out there together to appreciate this moment that they have this day, that that they're blessed, that they're fortunate, that they're prosperous, and that they are just so filled with love and good energy that they can count themselves very lucky. So I'm saying that it's time to expand beyond our own needs. Yes, I mean, in the past, I have given sermons on how to energize yourself. And that's sort of been the, one of the, I would say, characteristics of New Thought and spiritual metaphysics, is to energize yourself, heal yourself, lift yourself up. But it's time now to expand beyond our individual needs and our own growth. Yes, energize your own being and energize your world. You are a powerful presence of love, light, and healing. Know this and be blessed by it.
Thank you, Diane. It's wonderful. Magnificat.
Thank you.
It's marvelous.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of other words I can say other than incredibly enlightening and energizing. So thank you very much for your message and giving back how it energizes you with your stories tonight. I really value that. How you compliment somebody else and enlighten somebody else to do good deeds to the world. It just comes right back at you too. And that's what I really got from your message tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Diane, I think that was one of your best offerings to us.
Oh, thank you.
And you are so real. I mean, you can give right from the heart. And you give us simple messages, but things that we need to hear and do. How simple is it to go out and energize and make people feel good and offer a helping hand? But, you know, we have a tendency just to stay in our own little space. So thank you. It was
Yeah.
very,
You're so welcome, and thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I really love those stories about encountering people and just, randomly and how wonderfully we can give to them. Even not even necessarily even saying anything, but definitely it was just wonderful. Thank you.
As you gave the message and told about meeting the young man, I felt like it moved me in a way like I was doing it. I mean, it brings me to tears. Thank you.
And she really hit us in the heart, Diane.
Much so.
I think that way you exemplified it very beautifully. But just that whole heart-filled expression, it changes lives, as you have changed ours during this presentation. May have some fantastic ideas that we can bring into our life and pass them on. Pass them on. Pass them on. We are here to change the world positively. Thank you.
You got it. That's right.
Yeah, I was the recipient of that from years ago. I was probably 11 years old. My sister was 9 and my other sister was about 2. And we were visiting with friends. And my dad's friend said to him and my mom, "Your girls are so well behaved. You should be proud of them." That has stuck with me to this day. So when if I'm at a restaurant and there's a family there and the kids are very well behaved, I'll tell the parents that. And so it's like passing it on. But yeah, it's an amazingly powerful tool.
Mhm.
And if I can add, Diane, that I think your message was very timely in terms of the world we're in today and the negativity and such. So, to focus more on what's going right and look for what's going right and broadcast that instead of negativity. The timing of your message was right on. So thank you for that. Yep.
We can do something, yes.
Your practical ideas make it very sensible and easy.
Yeah.
Your examples, you don't have to be a brilliant person to think of something as simple as you gave. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
I think that just your viewing the young lady with the hairdo that you thought was so attractive on her, even though you did not get to say the words to the mother, I think that your thoughts probably reached her anyway, because we are all one.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
And even you're talking about it today, that there's an energy that is going to internally affect her, whether she heard the physical words, the spoken word. I think she's getting the message. Thank you.
I'm glad.
Diane, Hamid Bey said, saying positive words affects people, but it affects the speaker first.
Wow.
Yes.
Rose, your Coptic moment fits so well with Diane's talk.
Yeah. I was thinking that for a while here that, in the world of medicine, where they take our temperature and our blood pressure is always the first 2 things they do. But in the world of the future, I think that the most important things to take on a person to read their health is the acidity of their mouth and the electromagnetic frequency of their body, which we actually don't know how to measure at this. We don't have instruments for that I know of. But I think that will be a great practice of well-being in the future to monitor people's acidity and electromagnetic frequency.
Blessings, everyone, and so good to see you all again. And thank you again, Diane, for your offering.
Thank you.
And
You're most welcome. It's my honor. Thank you.
blessings, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
I